Once upon a time, deep within a lush, magical jungle, where sunlight danced through emerald leaves and moonlight kissed the river's surface, there stood the Temple of Scales. This grand temple, entwined with glowing vines and guarded by stone serpents, was home to the legendary twin snake princesses, Shadow, the black serpent of the night, and Blossom, the pink serpent of dawn. Shadow and Blossom were born from a single enchanted egg, blessed by the jungle spirit to protect the harmony of their land. Shadow's scales shimmered like a starless sky, her eyes glowing like silver moons. Blossom, on the other hand, was radiant, her pink scales glowing softly like the first light of sunrise. Together, they kept the jungle in perfect balance, Shadow guarding the mysteries of the night, and Blossom nurturing the life that bloomed under the sun. But even in the most magical places, harmony can be fragile. One day, a shadow glided silently through the jungle's shadowy undergrowth. She noticed something strange. The rivers, once clear and full of life, were beginning to dry. Blossom, flying over the jungle canopy, saw the treetops losing their vibrant green, their leaves curling and falling to the forest floor. The sisters met at the Temple of Scales, their shared home, to discuss what they had seen. "This is troubling," Blossom said, her soft voice like the rustling of leaves. "The jungle's life is fading. We must use our magic to heal it." Shadow's voice was low and calm, like the whisper of the night wind. "Perhaps, but we should be cautious. Something more powerful than us is causing this. We cannot act rashly." Blossom frowned. "The jungle is suffering now, Shadow. We can't wait." Shadow shook her head. "And if we make it worse by rushing in blindly, you must trust me, Blossom." Their disagreement grew, and the bond between them, once unbreakable, began to fray. The magic of the jungle, tied to their harmony, began to falter further. One night, a young girl named Nyla from a nearby village wandered into the jungle. Nyla was brave and curious, often sneaking away from her village to explore the mysteries of the forest. For weeks, she had been dreaming of two glowing serpents, one black, one pink, calling her name. Guided by her dreams, Nyla found herself standing before the Temple of Scales. She climbed its winding steps, and at the top, she saw the twin princesses for the first time. "Who are you, child?" Shadow asked, her voice echoing in the cool night air. "I'm Nyla," she said, trembling slightly. "I dreamed of you. You called me here." Blossom's gentle gaze softened. "The jungle chose you, Nyla. Perhaps you can help us?" Nyla explained what she had seen in her village, the crops failing, the animals fleeing, the rivers drying. The jungle's decay was spreading quickly. Shadow and Blossom finally agreed on one thing: they needed to act. But how? Blossom remembered an ancient legend about the Heartstone, a powerful gem hidden deep in the jungle. It was said to hold the power to restore balance to the land, but it was also guarded by a dangerous spirit who envied the twin princesses' bond. The sisters, along with Nyla, set out to find the Heartstone. The journey was perilous. As they crossed the River of Echoes, The waters shimmered and spoke to them in voices from their past. Shadow heard whispers of her fears, of being forgotten in the light of her sister's radiance. Blossom heard doubts about her strength in the shadows of her sister's power. Nyla saw her own fears of being too small to make a difference. They felt the pain, as if being felt by something in curiosity. "We must push through," Nyla said, her voice firm despite her fear. "The jungle needs us." Deeper in the jungle, they entered the maze of roots, where thick vines and twisting roots moved like living creatures. Shadow used her gift of darkness to create paths where no light could guide them, while Blossom lit their way with her glowing scales. Nyla kept them focused, reminding them of their shared goal. Finally, they reached the grove where the Heartstone was hidden. The spirit guarding it appeared as a massive serpent dragon, its scales shimmering with every color of the jungle. "Where do you seek the Heartstone?" it demanded, its voice rumbling like thunder. "To save our jungle," Shadow said, standing tall. "To restore its life," Blossom added, her light shining brighter. The spirit laughed. "But you cannot even agree with each other. How can you restore balance when your own hearts are divided?" The spirit attacked, wrapping its enormous coils around the sisters. Shadow and Blossom tried to fight it individually, but failed. Then Nyla cried out, "Remember the prophecy? When the shadow swallows the blossom, the jungle shall fall. But when the two serpents coil as one, the jungle shall rise." Shadow and Blossom looked at each other, realizing they had been fighting separately when they were strongest together. Shadow wrapped her dark coils around Blossom, shielding her from the spirit's strikes, while Blossom poured her radiant light into Shadow, giving her the strength to fight. Together, their combined power drove the spirit away. Blossom and Shadow coiled around the Heartstone, their magic activating its power. A wave of healing energy spread across the jungle, reviving the rivers, trees, and creatures. The jungle flourished once more. Shadow and Blossom returned to the Temple of Scales, stronger in their bond and wiser from their journey. As for Nyla, she was named the first human guardian of the jungle, tasked with keeping its balance alongside the twin princesses. From that day on, the jungle thrived under the care of Shadow, Blossom, and Nyla, a perfect harmony of darkness, light, and humanity. And so the jungle sang once more, a melody of unity and love, under the protection of the twin snake princesses.